So, welcome everybody to the 6th day of 31 Days of Horror, and today we're looking at probably the most underrated sequel, I feel, especially in terms of horror sequels, and especially considering the film is a sequel too, and that is The Exorcist 3, directed and written by William Peter Blatty, and this was released in 1990, and he wrote The Exorcist. He also directed and wrote The Ninth Configuration from 1980, which is the only other film he's actually directed, or he did direct. And he also co-wrote the best Pink Panther film, A Shot in the Dark. So he's he wasn't the most prolific director or writer out there, but definitely one that did a high amount of quality pictures. And this stars George C. Scott, who's been in a whole host of films, several of them being my ultimate favourites. Anatomy of a Murder, The Changeling, Firestarter, The Hindenburg, Hardcore, The Day of the Dolphin, and The New Centurions. There's still some others out there that I have yet to see from him, but I am excited to do so at some point. Also stars Ed Flanders, who's the only other film I've seen him in was also The Ninth Configuration. Also stars Brad Dourif, who's most well known, as far as I'm concerned, as being the voice of Chucky in the Child's Play franchise, which ran from the late 80s until even the last few years. I know there's a TV series of it coming out. Not sure if he's doing the voice though. And also Jason Miller. Again, seen him in The Ninth Configuration, but he was most well known for being in The Exorcist as Father Damien Karras, which is a role he reprises in this film. And this film is set 15 years after the original film, and this centres around the philosophical Lieutenant William F. Kinderman, who is a character in the first film, but is played by a different actor, this time by George C. Scott. And who is investigating a baffling series of murders around Georgetown that all contain the hallmarks of the Gemini, a deceased serial killer. It eventually leads to him to a catatonic patient in a psychiatric hospital who has recently started to speak, claiming he is the Gemini and detailing the murders. But he actually bears more of a striking resemblance to Father Damien Karras. So, it's a really good linking up of the first film to this one, even though this originally wasn't supposed to be called The Exorcist 3. It was supposed to be originally called Legion, as it's based on William Peter Blatty's novel Legion itself. And as a result, it does feel like the ending, especially, is a little bit tacked onto the story overall. But overall, it does work as a sequel, and avoids the second film, as that is an absolute terrible film, and completely goes over that. So it's basically the first and the third that are only the films that matter in this series. And the cast are all great, especially Scott and Dourif. Dourif puts on a really good performance in his cell, and he's really, really intense a lot of the times, especially with his voice. While it has a cracking plot and script, the visuals are also really well done. The cinematography is solid. The score is also effective. It is well paced. I love the tone. It is deeply atmospheric. It is creepy and scary in all of the right ways, and it is wholly engrossing from beginning to end. It also has one of the best jump scares ever in a horror film, because it really does play with your mind for a long time. It's a really long single shot that's scanning around, initially does a fake jump scare, and then it gets to the real jump scare, and that's when it's really effective. The interactions between the characters Scott and Flanders play are superb. The way it talks about the violent acts that are committed rather than showing them is haunting, because it doesn't show you any murders, doesn't show you any violence really at all until the end of the film, and it means that your imagination is doing a lot of the work, and that is a highly effective way of showing or at least depicting violence. And though the ending is a reshoot, it is a really entertaining finale. So William Peter Blatty, like I said, didn't initially intend this to be an Exorcist film, but the studio were like, well, you wrote The Exorcist, this feels like The Exorcist because it's got a couple of the same characters in it, so they were like, well, let's call it Exorcist 3. And since the original film, or the original cut, should I say, didn't have an exorcist in it at all, they rewrote the ending and put in a scene in the middle of the film thereabouts that has a priest in it, and then the priest comes back at the end and does an exorcism of the Gemini killer. So it does feel a bit tacked on as an ending, but it is overall a really entertaining one. It's basically like William Peter Blatty going, you want an exorcist, I'll give you an exorcist, and he really just goes all out on it, and it's a fantastic ending to the film, even if it's not his original vision. But I have seen his original vision for the ending of the film, and it is a bit of a bit of an anticlimax, but maybe that just plays into the rest of the film's atmosphere. But regardless, it's a fantastic film, reshoot or not, reshoots or no reshoots, and yeah, easily one of my favourite films in terms of horror, favourite films generally, and on the whole, I do prefer it to the original Exorcist. I know that's a bit of a, you know, a contrarian thing to say maybe, but you know, it's not the first time I preferred a sequel to its original film, you know, 2010 over 2001, or Doctor Sleep over The Shining, so it's nothing new for me, but it is definitely one I enjoy a lot more than the original Exorcist, and I've seen it way more than that original film as well. So yeah, if you've not seen The Exorcist 3, then I highly recommend it. You will have to see the first Exorcist film if you've also not seen that, because like I said, they do link up quite a fair bit. But regardless, a superb film, and yeah, if you have seen it, and then I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. Nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.